This is a podcast.
Maybe it's just me, but why do I get the feeling, or at least get the imagination of seeing James Hetfield, Knowles, never mind. Hi.
Hello.
How are you?
I don't know.
My mind just totally went blank on everything that I was trying to say right then.
Oh, do you have some stage fright?
I think I do.
Like the second we went live, it's just like
Yeah, honestly, it did. It just totally just spoofed out on me. Because I'm imagining, seeing an all-star band, but as Gophers playing that song.
Gophers.
Yes.
Oh, not Chipmunks.
Not Chipmunks.
Gophers.
Yes, Gophers. I don't know why Gophers, but that's just what I'm going with. So... And I had the whole lineup of who I was thinking of, because rest in peace, Chris Cornell would be in the background as an angel gopher doing that really high pitch.
Oh, okay.
Tone. James Hetfield would be playing the guitar.
Mm-hmm.
The Foo Fighters dude would be on the drums.
You know that dude.
That dude.
Yes.
I cannot remember what his name is. We were just talking about him.
The lead dude, or
yes, yeah,
Dave Grohl.
David Grohl. Why could I not think of what that was for a second?
I don't know.
I don't either.
He's not really he's a good drummer, but he's not really a metal drummer. He's a rock drummer more.
Yeah, but he's got he's got some speed on him. I mean, either that or the guy on TikTok that you see all the time.
Oh,
I don't know what his name is,
yeah.
but I watch his videos all the time.
That dude.
Yeah, because that guy is quick.
Yeah, he's crazy.
And then the bass player.
Does anybody really care about bass players?
No, they really don't. I would put Saturn from Linkin Park.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, apparently that was his name, was Saturn.
Okay.
I would put him on there.
What kind of parents name their kid that?
What kind of parent names their kid Dave?
I don't know.
Yeah. So, anyway, that was
uncomfortable.
That was very uncomfortable because my mind went blank. Then we started just kind of rambling about things here.
That intro was not very comfortable at all.
No, it wasn't. But you know what? That's part of this episode. That's part of this show.
Yes.
Is just the randomness.
And the discomfort.
Because it is greatly out of our comfort zone to do this sometimes.
Yes.
There's a lot of times where it's I'm fine up until the camera does turn on, and then my mind just kind of goes blank. And
yep.
So it's just a little weird. So for those that will be joining us, If you notice, it is just Dave and I today.
Yeah,
Noah
there's
is,
nobody else.
Yeah. Talking about out of your comfort zone right
Yes,
there.
yes,
That's
that was
uncomfortable.
uncomfortable.
Yes, that one was uncomfortable. So yeah, Noah is out for this episode. He had some stuff going on.
Yep.
So it's just going to be Dave and I. And we've been kind of thinking about what to do. And it's funny because we've actually been talking about this topic off and on a little bit, even if it's, not really, it's kind of spontaneous every once in a while when we do it. So today we are talking about our comfort zones.
Yes. And the things we do to be comfortable, even if it's not necessarily the best thing for us.
Yep. And there's a lot of stuff that can be said. And we're not going to get on, the habits or anything like that. I mean, we will touch on some habits.
Yeah, maybe a little bit, but
yeah, we're not going to start, like degrading anybody or like dogging a certain habit that somebody has or anything like that.
Why not?
I mean, it's just, well, I mean, you can if you want, but
But that's the fun part. No?
I don't know if it's fun or not.
Okay.
I mean, I guess it could be fun in the moment. Yeah, I have no idea where I was going with that one. Anyway, We're just going to get right into this episode. If you can't tell, just having me and Dave, this is actually the first time that me and Dave has actually just done an episode on our own.
And this is very uncomfortable.
It is very uncomfortable because I'm not used to it.
Yeah.
I know there's been a couple of times where you and Noah have done an episode. And it's crazy because me and Dave can sit and talk for hours, honestly, about anything and everything. But once we get into a professional setting, I guess we could say, professional setting.
Yes, professional.
Like something like this on an episode, we tend to clam up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know why. I really don't. I think it's because we're forced to have to talk about what we want to talk about.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. So anyway, we're just going to jump right on into this one.
Uncomfortably
jump right on into this one. And, we've been talking about this a little bit and about how we tend to do things that are just it kind of leads into a comfort zone.
Yeah.
Whether it's out of habit, whether it's out of, routine. Is there a difference between habit and routine?
A little bit, but yeah, it's creating that familiarity.
Yeah.
That's comfortable to you.
Yeah.
So.
Because I know, we talked about it a little bit today, and, it's like it can go anywhere from listening to a song just over and over again. I don't listen to the same song over and over, but I listen to, the same group.
Okay.
A lot of times. And it's just, because it's, those are the ones that I know. I absolutely hate, and I will gladly say this, I abhor the new age music. This new age pop and stuff like that. I cannot stand it.
And that's exactly what people were saying 20 years ago and generations before that and generations before that.
Right.
Have you heard this new jazz stuff lately? That's so distasteful.
Yeah. And
now we look back at jazz and it's like, oh, this is classic. How could anyone not like this,
Yeah, I still don't like jazz.
I mean, okay, but it has more respect now, I guess.
Yes, yeah, it does. And that's the thing is once you start listening to it over and over again, you start to like it and you pick up on it and things like that. But yeah, I would rather listen to the older stuff that I grew up with than any of this new age stuff because again, it's stuff that I know, it's stuff that I'm familiar with, it's stuff that I'm comfortable with.
I believe there were actual studies done the stuff you hear during your formative years and during adolescence, that's just what you end up liking for the rest of your life.
That makes sense.
I mean, I want to say I've been a little bit open-minded. I've come to like other things since high school, but yeah, a lot of that holds true. A lot of the music I was listening to back then is the music I listen to today.
Yeah, and I do agree with that one because I am the same way. I do there are some stuff that comes out and I do like, but even some of the bands that have come out with some new things who was it? Simple Plan. They were a kind of like a punk group when I was growing up, and they've been off the radar for a while, and then suddenly they come back and they're doing like a couple of like newer songs, and I'm just like, it just doesn't feel the same.
I mean, they can't all be winners, but
No, but I know we talked about it before as far as like movie remakes. I think the same thing goes with bands. I think after a certain while, it's just time to
move on.
It's just time to move on. It's like even if you're not going to, even if you don't produce new music, even if you don't, anything like that, just move on.
Mm-hmm.
Like we were talking a little bit about Metallica and stuff like that, and Metallica is always gonna be one of those big bands that's just known throughout the ages. But it's about time for them to hang it up, I think. As much as I, appreciate their talent, what new stuff have they come out with?
Didn't they come out with a new album like not that long ago, like last year? I don't know.
See, I don't know. And,
I haven't heard it. I haven't heard any of their newer stuff.
And and it's just like, but maybe that's their comfort zone. It's like they like the music and they're afraid of what's going to happen if they quit.
That could be.
God, no.
It's like maybe that's maybe that's their familiarity, like getting together and recording. Like maybe that's what brings them comfort. It could be.
Except for Lars.
Lars doesn't bring anyone comfort.
No. Lars brings Lars comfort, and that's about it.
I don't even know about that one. Like,
yeah, it's surprising how long he's been in that band.
He
from
he
the
co-founded
start.
it.
Yeah, and
he was one of the founding members along with James Hetfield.
But you would think that James would have already kind of gotten tired of him, maybe.
Oh,
but that's just friendship.
They fight like children all the time.
Yeah.
But what I've heard many times is that Lars has contributed like lyrically and other things. Like he's actually a very creative person. That's what I've heard. I don't know that to be true, but I believe he does contribute more than just drumming, so that's probably why he's still there. And he is a co-founder of the band, so you can't just kick him out.
Oh, you could. I mean, it's happened multiple times.
Oh yeah,
throughout history. It's like I remember, and I know we're kind of getting off topic a little bit, but at the same time, it's that familiarity, like we're talking about.
Yeah.
I remember back in like the early 2000s. Okay, one of my favorite bands is Breaking Benjamin, and the four people who were part of that band, like Benjamin Burnley was the founder of it, and then I forgot what the other three names were at the moment, but they all kind of came together and formed the band. And something happened that I won't just really get into. It's all politics and all this other kind of stuff like that. But Ben literally fired everybody, and they kind of went on hiatus for a little bit because he didn't have a band. And then he just kind of went back and was like, all right, I'm going to go pick this guy, and they're my new band members. And now they're, honestly, I think their music is a lot better now than it was back then. But it kind of makes you think sometimes, because it's like, okay, you're familiar with the four people, you're familiar with the sound of these people, and now it's just like they're not there anymore. So it's a different sound sometimes, and it makes you think sometimes, like, okay, it kind of makes you feel uneasy every once in a while.
Like,
but
this is also kind of off topic, but I've always wondered, like, when is a band not the same band anymore? Like, you start a band, let's say in the 1970s, and then unfortunately you lose a band member for whatever reason, and so you have to replace that guy. And then over the decades, that keeps happening, and you've only got one or two original members. So are you even the same band anymore?
Yeah, I mean, that is a good question. I do understand that, like, bands, they grow, they progress. With each new member is a different sound. Like, because you can't create the same sound,
right,
from from a different band member or anything like that. So it's kind of like, at that point, it's almost like, okay, it depends on how true to the music they are.
Mm-hmm.
whether or not it's the same sound or whether or not it's the same like musical genre type stuff, because I know some bands tend to jump genres every once in a while too.
Yeah.
But it's how, I guess it's how true you stay to the music that you're playing. You know, as long as you come in with that same mindset, I think you're technically the same band, but you know, maybe not. I don't know. I've never been in a band, so I couldn't really tell you.
Right. Yeah. Me neither.
So, but moving on from music, I mean, you know, the music that we talk about kind of gets us into a comfort zone.
Yep.
Movies, you know, that's something that I see quite a few times, and I know me and you have talked about it a few times, because I try to introduce you to new movies and you don't ever do it because it's just kind of,
it's not my comfort zone. It's
yeah.
It's difficult for me to get into something I haven't seen already. Sometimes it happens.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for instance, a couple months ago was the first time I watched pretty much the entire Mission Impossible series of films.
Mm-hmm.
And I do like those, I learned. Although I always liked, like, a good spy movie.
Mm-hmm.
And a good action movie. So, but, like, I don't know. I wouldn't have just thought to watch those at a random time. Like, I kind of have to be introduced to it, but at the same time, like, I don't have to be forced to watch it, because then I'm not going to want to watch it. Does that make any sense whatsoever?
Kind of. I mean, I'm somewhat that way when it comes to books. Like, if I'm forced to read a book, I won't read it.
Yeah.
I'll skim through it and not remember half of what I watched or half of what I read.
Yeah.
But
it's like I have to hear that it's going to be good before I commit to it, right? Because even though it's not like a big commitment, like an hour and a half, 2-hour movie is still a commitment. Like, I'm about to go through 2 hours of my time, and I want to know that that's not going to be a waste. But at the same time, it is going to be a waste because I'm not doing anything productive. I'm watching a movie, so.
But then there begs the question, though, is.
But I don't want to be disappointed.
Okay, but it begs the question of, you know, you're trying to find that form of comfort of knowing that something's going to be good, or knowing that your time's not going to be wasted, but how do you really know until you do it?
Right.
You know, because we can sit here and talk about, you know, the Mission Impossible movies, and I can tell you that they're garbage.
Mm-hmm.
That could be my opinion.
Right.
You know, Noah could come up here and tell you, oh, they're the greatest. It's the greatest franchise that's ever been made. You know, and it's just like you're left in the sideline of, okay, which way do you go?
Right.
You know, and almost that in itself is more discomforting, of kind of being that middle ground of which way do you lean? Because I mean, you know, you don't know if something's good or bad until
I experience it for myself.
Right.
Right. And I have to be in the mood to do it.
Okay.
Like, I'm not just going to turn on my TV and throw on a movie I've never seen before. Like, I have to be curious about it and actually want to watch it.
I get that. I think I find more comfort in the unknown.
Okay.
Believe it or not. Like, because you get to, in certain ways, like when it comes to movies and stuff like that, I actually like watching newer movies. And I say newer movies that I've never seen before, because it's that experience. If I get to experience it for myself, of knowing if it's good or bad. Where I find my comfort is my lists. So it's diagnosed, but not like confirmed diagnosed. I have like a form of working OCD.
Okay.
Where I don't get to the point where it's like everything has to be like in a certain spot. I mean, if you saw my work area, you would really know that. But in that sense, that's where my comfort zone is it's kind of disorganized, but at the same time, it's disorganized in a way that I can find things.
Right.
Same thing with, like, you know, I was just talking about, like, my lists. I have lists on lists. I have a list of lists that I have, you know, and it's just like that is where my organization, that's where my comfort comes from, because then I can go down that list and I can be like, okay, this is the next in line, this is the next in line, and try to stay true to that as much as possible. so when it comes to like the newer movies, I know I've talked about it. I have a list of like, actually, unfortunately, it's still growing, of 5,600, I think, movies and shows that I'm trying to watch.
That sounds like a lifetime worth of content.
It probably will be.
Yeah.
I have nothing else going on with my life, so I might as well.
Of course.
No, but that is, again, that's where I find the comfort of it, of just being able to pick something and know that it's not quite at random, but being able to pick it out and just like sitting down and watching it. And even sometimes I don't sit down and watch it. I'll turn it on in the background, and I can kind of multitask sometimes, where I can listen to something and do something else at the same time and pretty much catch on a little bit better than sitting out and actually just watching it.
Right.
But I know people who will sit down and watch the exact same movie 5 times in a row.
Yeah, that's just weird.
Yeah, I can't understand.
Like, it's one thing to have a favorite movie and watch it, frequently, but like multiple times. I could never watch the same movie more than once in the same day.
Yeah, no.
Like
that's why, I don't know if you ever did, back when pay-per-view was like really big.
I never had cable
Okay.
around that time, so.
Okay. So yeah, we did for a little bit, and there were a couple of movies that we actually did pay-per-view for, and we rented the movie, and you had 24 hours to watch it.
Right.
And it played just over and over.
Oh,
and over
wow.
again.
Okay.
Yeah, it was just like it was dedicated to that movie because you paid for it, you
Right.
know. But yeah, it was like, I think that's the only time that I've ever watched a movie more than once in a row.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just because I watched one movie, and what was it called? It was the Four Feathers, I think it's what it was called. It's like a 1900 like British versus Egyptian like war movie. Yeah, it was weird. But I remember it came on and I fell asleep part of the way through it. So I woke up, watched it basically to the part where I fell asleep, and then fell asleep again, and then had basically it's like how that's the only way that I will watch something more than once is because I fall asleep during the time, and I'm too stubborn to give up on it, so I just kind of.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Now, that said, I don't think there's necessarily a problem with repeat viewings because,
especially our episodes.
Yes. Because you pick up on details on the second and third viewing that you wouldn't have picked up on, the first time you watched it. So that I don't have a problem with, but yeah, just repeating the same thing ad nauseum. That's I don't know how anyone does that.
Yeah. But I mean, at the same time, it's like that can go on with anything, though. I mean, we eat the same thing over and over again.
Yeah, that gets tiring for me too.
It does. But sometimes you do it just because, again, it's what you're comfortable with.
It's another one of those I don't want to be disappointed things. So I if I already know what it's going to taste like and what the experience is going to be, it takes that variable out, and it's like, okay.
Yeah. I don't know. I like to try new things.
I do too, when it comes to food. But as long as I'm not paying like an arm and a leg for it.
Very true.
Because that's the thing. If I pay $30 for something disappointing, that's a whole other level of disappointment.
Right. And I think I do think there is the logical sense of being able to find that medium of stepping out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
As well as keeping it, limited.
Right.
Within a certain thing.
Because you don't want to gamble too much.
Right. Now, I can't be the type of person that's going to go to a restaurant, and go to every single restaurant that's out there and order chicken strips. I'm sorry. Like, that's something that I can't do. If I go to a new restaurant, I want to try something new, I
mean, you could be a chicken strip connoisseur. And just like, okay, this restaurant gets it right. This restaurant doesn't do it right. This restaurant's good. This restaurant's
if that's
okay.
if that's what I'm going for,
right.
But at the same time, it's like there are people that I do know that they will go to a Chinese restaurant and order chicken strips.
Right.
They'll go to a Mexican restaurant and order chicken strips. And it's
Right.
just like, it's not because they're a connoisseur of, the stripped chicken. That's just what they want. That's what they're comfortable with. And I'm just like, okay, if that's the case, then I'll buy you a bag of chicken strips and we just save $50.
Right.
That's
at that point, go to the store's frozen food section and throw them in the air fryer.
Exactly. But yeah, I think, and that kind of makes me wonder, because we're talking about food. It kind of makes me wonder, it's like, is that where, and I'm not trying to be like dumb when I say this, is that where comfort food comes from? Like the term comfort food comes from?
Somewhat. I think a proper comfort food needs to do,
Bring comfort.
It needs to bring comfort. It needs to be like satisfying and relaxing to eat, and it doesn't hurt if it brings up a bit of nostalgia as well. Like, oh, I remember when my mom used to make it like this, and I miss being a kid, and blah blah blah, stuff like that.
Okay.
That's why I still to this day will eat boxed macaroni and cheese.
Yes.
Because I do like that flavor on occasion, even though like real macaroni and cheese is better.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you're craving that flavor from your childhood.
Right.
It happens.
No, I okay. Yeah, I can understand that. I will agree with that one, because I make a lot of my mom's recipes. My mom was always a good cook. She is a good cook. She's still alive. Well, I hope she is, because I haven't talked to her in a few
Don't
days.
jinx anything here.
Yeah, knock on wood. But I always, like, I'd always make her recipes, because they're what I'm familiar with.
Right.
And it does bring that bit of nostalgia. And it's like, you learn that certain things, like what we said before, I guess, like when you're talking about the music, I guess the same thing goes like with food and stuff like that. The things that you're used to in your childhood, you grow up to kind of grow into as an adult, because there are certain like food groups or certain like types of foods that I will always cook together.
Yes.
Like anytime I make like a meatloaf.
Oh, I haven't had a meatloaf in a good long time.
I haven't either, but I need to make one again. But anytime I do
Same.
make meatloaf, it has to be with macaroni and cheese.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's
just
a
classic combination
yeah,
right
that's
there.
something that I've always grown up with. Hi, this is our special guest with us. If you can't see her, this is Dolly. And she's a sweet kitty. But it's like certain things like that. I grew up with cornbread and milk.
Okay.
Now it's a very I guess it's a very southern thing. It's kind of like a poor man's food in a way. But my mom used to always make the cornbread into like almost like pancakes in a way, and then you put it in a bowl, put some milk over the top of it, put some black-eyed peas in it. Oh man, that's so good.
Interesting.
But that was always the thing. It's like anytime that I ate cornbread and milk, I always had to have black-eyed peas. Black-eyed peas, because it's just.
I've never had this before. I don't know.
Hi. Yeah, it's actually pretty good. Like it's really good, to be honest with you. But moving on from that as well. I mean, like I said, we can sit here and talk about food, talk about movies. I know there's something that you really want to talk about.
Movies about food.
Movies about food.
Yes.
Ratatouille is always a good.
Oh yeah,
one.
That talk about comfort food. Like that's kind of the catalyst for not the catalyst, like the climax of the movie.
That's true. Yeah, being with food,
being comforting.
Yeah, comforting. I've been trying to avoid this one because I know it's something you want to talk about, but
which one? Like I mentioned a couple of things.
You did mention a couple of them, and I do. It needs to be talked about. So when it comes to comfort things and doing things that may not be good for you.
Yes.
Because, like, you can eat certain foods. It can be good for you. It can be bad for you. It just depends on how you go. You can listen to music. Whether it's good or bad for you, I don't really know. Movies, same thing with movies, But getting into politics.
Yeah.
That's something.
That's a very uncomfortable thing.
That is a very uncomfortable thing to talk about.
We should definitely not get into politics.
Especially, no. Wait, get into politics or like talk about politics? Because I'm
like-
good with either one.
Yeah, no, let's just not. Yeah, let's not get into politics.
Okay, I don't think
I'm not running for office.
I don't think I ever could. Like, I did think about it before. Like, if I did run for an office, what would I do? I would probably get kicked out within the first week or so.
And you can't really do any worse than any of the clowns we've already got in office. So
I don't know. But and that's the thing there too, is some of the people that are in office have been put into office simply because it's a comfort vote.
In a way, we tend to just vote the same way because it's the way we were raised, and I feel that is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Even if your viewpoints do kind of align, a lot of people, it doesn't matter which side of the aisle you're on, a lot of people will just cast the vote because this is the way I've always voted. And I feel that's wrong, especially if they're, just doing it for that reason and not actually thinking about it.
Just doing a party vote,
yeah,
basically. And, great example of that is here recently. This is kind of like, it's updated news, like it just happened. Biden dropped out of the race. Kamala got put in. Or Kamala?
I don't know.
Yeah. She got put in to, for the vote. There was talks about basically the higher ups of the DNR or DNC, whatever they are, the Democratic Party just appointing somebody to kind of take over, which again, that's actually illegal to do. We're not going to get into that part, but so many people have come out and be like, we don't care who it is, we're voting for them because it's not the other person.
Right.
And
that's the way our last election cycle went too. I'm voting for so-and-so because they're not this person.
Yeah.
They're not that person.
And
that's not a reason to vote for somebody.
No, the whole point of politics has gone out the window.
Yeah.
Because when I was growing up, and the way that I vote, okay, I'm not going to tell you if the ones that know me, they know where my stance is as far as politics go. But I'm not going to sit here and tell you whether I'm Democratic or Republican or Independent or Green Party or any of that kind of stuff. I've always been taught you vote based on the merits of the people.
Yeah.
You vote off of their platform and things like that. And unfortunately, platforms are no longer relevant anymore. It's all a popularity contest.
Yeah.
That
and nobody has any merit.
No.
Nobody has any dignity. Nobody has. Yeah, it's just whoever.
Right. And I know we've talked about this one before too a little bit in one of our like later or earlier episodes on our other show. All of that really, I mean, I know it started a long time before that, but it really, really picked up when Obama ran for office.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why I say that, I'm not saying that, there are some things that he did that could have been good. There are some things that he did that were really bad, but I'm not going to bash on anybody like that. The thing that got me is I remember during one of the debates, it was him and Mitt Romney. They got up there, they did their platform, they did their stances, spoke to each other, all this other kind of stuff like that. They took a break from the debate, and they started like talking to people in a crowd, like, Obama said this, like, what did you think? Oh, I think he got up there and he spoke eloquently. He's such a well-dressed man. Like, none of it had to do with anything that he actually said.
Mm-hmm.
It was all about him and his popularity and things like that. And then they were talking about like Mitt Romney. Look, what did you think about this? Oh, I can't stand him. He's too white for me and blah, blah, blah. And I say that because there were a lot of white people that were saying this.
Yeah.
I'm not.
I didn't like him either.
No, I didn't like Mitt Romney either, and I didn't vote for Mitt Romney. I didn't vote for Obama. I don't remember who I voted for, to be honest with you. It wasn't one of those two. But it got to the point where it's like, yeah, it's just become a popularity contest where people vote just simply out of comfort.
Yeah.
Because
I like this guy and I don't like that guy.
Yeah. Or like you said, it's a party vote where it's just like,
Yeah.
oh, I have to vote Democrat because
I always have.
yeah, always have.
Yeah.
And if there's anything that we can say, between the two of us that might make some sense is at least do your research before you vote.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want
Apathy is what got us into the mess we're in.
Yes.
Just voting based on, oh, I don't like that guy.
Yeah.
So I'm going to vote the opposite. That is what got us into this mess, and that is why we're stuck with a bunch of people who should not be in power.
Yes, I agree.
It's not just the president. It's all the way down.
Yeah, because it boils down to city officials, state officials, and that's one of the things there. That one's hard to even talk about because I think city officials and state officials, like, I think that's some of the most uncomfortable voting because I have no idea who these people are.
Right.
Like, you don't see anything about them. You don't hear anything about them. You see a yard sign, vote for Jack Black, for city council.
I would
or
vote for Jack
whatever.
Black. I don't know what district he's technically in, but I would vote for him.
Just vote. Okay. He will be the write-in
yes.
for the presidential debate.
Okay.
Yep. Yep. Write-in
I can see
Jack
that.
Black for president.
Yes.
I know he's been in the news here recently
Yeah.
too, and that one's been kind of hard. But it's difficult with politics again because of the fact of people just go in and they cast a ballot because it's like we need the Republicans to win or we need the Democrats to win, and none of the people that actually vote actually do the research.
Yeah.
And what's got me scared, it actually has me afraid of this next election, is that the Republicans think that they have a shoe-in because of what's happened here recently in the news, what's happened with Biden dropping out. They believe that Trump is just going to waltz right into the White House again, and that's what they thought the last time. And look what happened. And I have a feeling that a lot of Republicans are going to do the same thing where they're going to be like, oh, it's fine. I don't have to go out and vote because, it's like this is going to be a cakewalk for them. And it's going to turn out really, really bad for them.
Uh-huh. I don't think there's a winning option at all.
There's really not. Okay. We're going to get uncomfortable here for just a brief couple seconds.
This is uncomfortable.
So tell me, and I'm curious, what you look for in a president.
I don't know, someone who can actually answer questions in a debate, like actually address the thing you were asked about without pandering, without deflecting, actually address whatever the question was in a direct manner. Okay. None of them have done that in decades.
Okay. And that's fine when it comes to the debate time, but what about when they're put into office? Because here's the thing about it, and here's something that a lot of people don't understand, is that the president, we don't work for the president.
He works for us.
He works for us. And
it is a job. That's why I bring up the debates. That's the job interview. Mm-hmm. So they need to answer questions and stop deflecting. If you did what they do in debates at an actual job interview, you would never get hired. Except maybe in a sales position, but
yeah, that's true.
It's not a sales position. It's running the country.
Well, they're selling our country to the
Highest bidder, I know.
highest bidder. Okay. And see, the thing is, and I know we have disagreeing on this one, we've had disagreements on this. That's one thing that I did like about Trump. Okay, now, I know Trump is not the best. I know he's not the greatest. The thing that I liked about him was when he got put in office, he took a lot of the power away from the politicians that have been like the career politicians, the one that have been in office for 90 years and, are basically
That's a trend
gonna
that needs
die.
to continue no matter who gets elected president.
But that's where that's what's hasn't happened.
Yeah.
Because if you notice, the past 4 years, they actually took more control again,
Yeah.
and the people have become slaves to,
More or less, yeah.
and so that's what I look for in a presidency.
Yeah.
Somebody, and again,
Somebody who actually acts in the interests of the American people,
the American people,
not themselves.
right, and that. Whether or not that's ever going to happen again, I don't know.
I don't know either. The last person to do that was Washington.
Well, I mean, Trump did a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
Again, I'm not pandering to him, and I'm not saying that he's the greatest that's ever been.
No, it'd be nice if he could form coherent sentences.
Well, he can. He just says the same. He says the same thing over and over again.
Oh, like one of those dolls with the pull string,
basically. And it gets,
lock her up,
and it gets stuck.
China.
How'd that go again?
Huge.
Oh man, yes, that gosh, that was uncomforting right there. Just seeing you do that.
Where's the lie? What did I say that was inaccurate?
No, I'm not saying it's not. Definitely not saying it's not. Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I know Trump did a bit, where he took power away and he gave it back to the states. And that's the reason why everybody hated him so much, is because he didn't act like a president, like what you think of nowadays. He acted like an actual president and was just like, okay, I make the final, I can make the final decision if necessary. Basically, go ask mom is what he did. He did the whole go ask mom, and if mom says,
that should be a campaign slogan.
Go ask mom. Go ask mom.
Ooh, I'm running with that platform.
That
I'm old enough to run for president. So are you.
That's true. That's scary.
Yeah, that's scary.
Oh my gosh, that's really scary to know that we are old enough to run for president.
But no one would vote for us unless we were about twice our current age. So
right, or had 10 times the money that.
Yeah.
Actually, no, it'd be like 100 times the money that.
Actually, that's really what America needs to do. We need to elect somebody who's broke.
Yes. Yep. But
not even middle class, lower class.
But that's the thing. And did they make movies about that? Like,
I don't know.
Back a while back. Like, I know they've made some of them. Chris Rock did one movie. Was it Head of State? I think, where basically it was like that. Like, he came from the slums, and ran for president. Ended up like getting put in the White House, and
so
everybody hated him because he wasn't a millionaire or whatever. But yeah, I mean, that's all it's become. Is it's been a popularity contest, and it's been a money grab.
Yeah.
More people have walked out richer in office than they did going in, and that just goes to show you that it's all about that.
But the second your pen hovers over a candidate of whatever kind of candidate from someone who isn't your preferred party, you get really uncomfortable and anxious.
You do.
So, but I would, if anybody's listening to this, I would urge people to just step out of their comfort zone. Vote for somebody you've never heard of. If you can't do the research, vote for somebody who hasn't been in office for 50 years.
Yeah. Now, and
I saw a TikTok saying essentially that exact same thing. Like, we want change. Get rid of everybody who's been a career politician for 30 years. Just vote for anybody else.
Right. Now, we're not saying to just go out and just pick somebody at random. At least I hope you wouldn't be saying that.
If they're younger than 65, maybe.
But just
I'm
'cause
not.
they're younger
I'm not
does
entirely
mean
not
they're the
saying that.
greatest. Just because they're younger doesn't mean they're the greatest choice.
No, it doesn't. But it also means they're less out of touch than the people who are currently running.
Yeah.
They're completely out of touch with reality.
I would encourage to do the research about the people. You know, don't just go to, oh, this is Trump. Oh, this is Harris. No, look up Robert Kennedy Jr. Look up.
Well, I'm not saying for president. I'm saying get rid of Congress.
Oh, well, yeah, that
Get
too.
rid of everyone in Congress who's been there for more than a few years.
That's
Put some fresh
everybody.
faces. Yeah, put some fresh faces in there.
Yeah,
Vote for the person who hasn't been there.
yeah. I could agree. I could agree with that one. What was the other one?
That's the only way we're going to see change is if we actually change.
Right. And it does take that stepping out of your comfort zone to
Yeah.
make that change. And that's really what the whole thing, our conversation today has been about. I know it's been sporadic. It's been, really
We really
random.
didn't want to make it a 45-minute talk about politics.
No, we
and we
didn't.
kind of avoided that, but
We did for the most
We did
part.
end here.
Yeah. But it all comes down to you can. I think there's a good, healthy way to have a comfort zone,
Mm-hmm.
but then there's an unhealthy way to have that comfort zone
Like
because
eating mac
you're
and cheese
not-
every single night.
Well, yeah, I would not recommend that.
Both literally and metaphorically.
Right.
Like, voting straight ticket, whatever your party is like eating mac and cheese every single night.
Yeah,
It may be comforting in the short term, but
it's gonna kill you in the end.
yes, precisely.
So if anything, don't be afraid to step out of your comfort zone.
Mm-hmm. Which we all need to do.
in a healthy and safe environment.
Yes.
I guess that would be the one thing. 'Cause,
Right.
A lot of times, like, you can step out of that comfort zone, and it's not in a safe manner. I don't recommend eating puffer fish for the first time when you've never
Right.
cooked it, because that'll kill you. if
That'll
it's
kill
not-
you.
Yeah, if it's not cooked properly.
Or
and
a more practical example, like if you're dissatisfied with your job, don't just up and quit it, but start looking.
yes, yeah.
Because
Always be,
that gives me anxiety. Just looking and trying to interview and trying to get calls back,
Mhm.
that's very uncomfortable for me.
Yeah,
And that's why I often get trapped in whatever job I'm in
yeah.
for way longer than I should be.
Yeah, I felt that. Well, if it wasn't for one of our coworkers, you would not be trapped in our current job as of this morning. So,
I'm a little lost on that one.
just kind of blanket say it, our building nearly burnt down this morning
Oh yeah, that.
because a squirrel decided to cook his nuts on a power line.
Yeah.
Both literal and literal.
I don't know.
Yeah, somehow a squirrel got caught in a transformer.
Is that actually what happened? Like,
Yeah, apparently that's what DTE said. They pulled a squirrel out of a transformer.
wow. Well, yeah, that'll do it.
So, yeah, a squirrel got caught in the transformer. It blew. When it did, it kind of
It knocked out a phase of power.
Yeah, it phased out one of our powers.
And trying to run a 2 or 3 phase motor on a single phase will burn it up.
Yes,
So one of our air conditioners started billowing out smoke.
yes.
That's
And
fun.
if, like, I kid you not, like, it happened probably about 30 minutes before everybody showed up for work today.
Yeah.
So it just happened this morning.
Yep.
If it would have happened yesterday or
When no one was there.
anything, yeah, our building would have been lost. I mean, basically. But then again, that would be
A vacation.
a vacation for a while, because not advocating for it, but that would be kind of
Uh-huh.
fun.
All right.
But yes, don't be afraid to step out of your comfort zone. Just
Don't walk into a burning building, though, ever.
unless you're a firefighter.
Yes, but I guess they're probably still uncomfortable, even if they're trained.
Yes,
That's true.
that is something that I did for a little bit. I was a volunteer.
I wasn't. You know what? I think you did mention that
Yeah.
before, and I just forgot.
Yeah, I was a volunteer firefighter down in my hometown, and there were a couple of times where it got very nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
Because it's like you don't know exactly what's going to happen. And I remember one story, and I won't get like fully into it, but I remember we went in, and me and another one of my guys, we sat outside. We had our masks and stuff on with like the oxygen stuff, because we were supposed to be going into the actual house. We ended up getting stopped because there was a meth lab somewhere in the house that they had to locate. Yes.
Don't you hate it when that happens?
Right. So we're sitting there with these masks on, our oxygen on, and things like that, and they finally give us the okay to go in. We step into the house, and literally both of our masks just fog up.
Oh.
And we cannot see a thing in this house. And I mean, it's hot, there's fire, there's smoke, and our masks are completely useless.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, trying to figure out like where to spray the water. I'm fairly sure I sprayed a couple of other firefighters trying to find where we were going. But I mean, yeah, that was really unnerving. And there's a couple of other stories that I won't get into because we don't have time. But yeah. This has been
do something
educational.
uncomfortable.
Don't be afraid to do something uncomfortable.
Safely.
Yes.
Don't just do something stupid, but
if you do, record it.
Yes, and put it on TikTok.
Yes. That's how you make money most of the
and
time.
tag us.
That's true.
So we can watch it and laugh.
Yes. And
okay.
We might say something about it on the show. Anyway,
build the wall.
All right, this has been mildly entertaining. Very uncomfortable for us. I don't know about you guys. Hopefully, the next episode, Noah will be back with us. I think he will be. I don't think anything else will happen between now and
You never
then.
Noah.
You're going to end it like that? Really? You started it like that, and you're going to end it like that, aren't you? But yes, tell us, leave us in the comments like what your comfort is, whether it's a favorite movie you like to watch, favorite book, music, food, leave it in the comments. Let us know what you guys think. If there's something that you want us to talk about, leave it in the comments and let us know. This is, it's always great to find new things to talk about.
Of course.
Again, thank you guys for at least putting up with us, because it's been
something.
It's been something, honestly.
Yeah.
This episode was kind of, I hate to say it, this episode was really thrown together.
Yeah.
We had a great idea. We had a good, a good thing coming in, and then we got the notification earlier today that Noah wasn't going to be with us, and so that kind of like put us into almost like a tailspin for a little bit.
Yeah.
But I
think it still came out good.
Yeah, I think it came out okay. There's some comments that we can make with this one. But anyway, thank you guys for joining us. Hope to see you next time. I'm John.
I'm Dave.
Have a great night.